Hey, thanks for checking out the Ham and Spam Retro Review. If you like what you hear, please remember to subscribe, leave a like, or leave a comment, whatever platform you listen to this on.
And also remember, there's always additional content on our website, hamandspam.com, where you can find links to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoy it.
For even more content, check out our friends Nick and Brandon over at their podcast, Talk or Go Home. Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 39 of the marvelous Ham and Spam Retro Review Podcast.
The incredible, amazing, uncanny.
I can't think of that many adjectives at one point, but hey.
I just go through the different comic books.
Spectacular.
The New Adventures.
The New Adventures
the
of
Teenage Mutant Ninja.
You know, if something happens and we ever quit this podcast, we should name it The New Adventures of Ham and Spam Retro Review.
Like, come back.
Ham and Spam 2099.
Yeah.
So this week we are going to review one of mine and Hammy's personal guilty pleasure favorites. Not one that was really on the radar as far as mainstream Super Nintendo games, but still fun nonetheless. And that would be
Jurassic Park 2, The Chaos Continues.
Not linear, has nothing to do with Jurassic Park 2, the movie, or the Lost World Jurassic Park.
It came out before the movie, I think.
It did, and we kind of touched on it just a little bit when we reviewed the Jurassic Park game for Super Nintendo.
Because I was so disappointed when I went and saw the movie, and it was nothing like the game.
Like this. Well, you know, we kind of talked about it where Ocean Games basically bought the rights for this $1 billion franchise and said, you know what, we're going to make all the money we can off of it, and decided to put out this game. And I don't know, man. In my book, I think they kind of hit a little bit of a home run because I love this game.
It's from the moment I turned this game on, I loved it.
Well,
I don't know why. It just I fell in love with it.
Well, this game came out in 95. So it's what, 25 years old this
25,
year?
25.
Golly. Yeah. Well,
can run for Congress.
Technically. This game's still teaching us new things that we didn't even know about it.
Oh, yeah.
Primarily the cutscene at the front. When we start the game, we've always pressed start to go right into the game. If you don't press start right at the beginning, there's a cutscene. And how about this? There's actual voice animation in it, or voiceovers in it, and it's not bad for Super Nintendo.
It shocked me, to be honest.
Well, we're sitting here and we're trying to, halfway review for the game real quick, or for the podcast real quick. And, the game's just kind of playing in the background, and we look up and Hammy goes, holy crap, this has got a cutscene.
Never knew it.
Like I said, touched on earlier, 1995 game. Only came out for the Super Nintendo. There was a Jurassic Park 2, The Chaos Continues for Game Boy, but we are not going to touch about that one.
Yeah, it was a lot different.
Very different.
I have it too.
Really?
I do. And
did you buy it just because of this game?
Yes.
Okay.
And
you were sorely disappointed?
Well, I haven't played it.
Oh, okay.
But my youngest nephew played it one day and beat it in like 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So apparently it's pretty short and pretty easy.
Well, that's Game Boy.
Unlike this game.
Oh, dude. Well, one of my favorite lines here is hashtag full disclosure.
Is it really?
Yeah. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, well, I say it almost every podcast.
Yeah, I know. Sarcasm.
Oh,
sarcasm
I gotcha.
meter is tipping the glass.
Hashtag sarcasm, Clint. We would not only have we never beaten this game, even till this point, I don't think we've beaten a level of this game.
Yeah, I've been playing this game since the mid-90s.
Yeah.
I don't know. There were 3 video stores in my life growing up.
Right.
Asheville, Aniana, and Blockbuster. And
Aniana was a movie gallery, wasn't it?
I have no idea. It was the
We're going to say it
was rental store.
Okay.
Jeremy would know. But I picked this game up at one of the 3. Probably Blockbusters, where I spent most of my time.
And I want to say that when you first played it, I was at your house.
I think you were. I know we played it quite a bit back then.
Because there's one iconic scene, and we'll get to that here momentarily.
But I picked this game up. I've been playing it since the mid-90s, and I have yet to beat a single level.
So
in fact, I just found out that I have yet to play most of the levels.
Yeah.
Even though you have that option from the beginning to play whichever one you want.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. It kind of took part of some of the other games where it's not necessarily a linear game. You can kind of choose and pick and choose which level you want to go with, which was neat, especially for the time. You choose a Mario game, you got to go through, starting worlds. Maybe hit a warp. This right here, you can kind of.
It makes me think a little of Mega Man, where you could pick.
And DuckTales. DuckTales is like that for the regular Nintendo. Yeah,
I never played that.
Oh, you're missing out. That's a great game. Get Uncle Scrooge and bounce around on his cane the entire time and never come out of it. Oh yeah, it's great. But yeah, you could kind of pick and choose which one you wanted to. And for the life of me, I can't think of what the name of the level.
Well, there's one that's based around raptors. I've played that one.
Right,
that's the one we've tried
desperately
and
failed miserably.
And we finally found out that there's an inside part.
Yeah, we found that out just the other night.
Because
usually we're dead by that point.
Because it's a run and gun. It's very Contra-esque, a lot different from the first Jurassic Park game.
Which there were two different ones. You had the platformer on Sega, and then you had the kind of Zelda-esque top-down
action adventure. And they said, hey, let's just change it up and make a run and gun.
So within the 3 games that they released between the first game and the second game, or in the 3 versions rather, they've released 3 different types of games every different time. Just kind of see, hey, let's throw it against the wall and see what sticks.
Oh yeah, and then you'll get a different type with the Sega CD version, which we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Another one that we played was the Gallimimus level.
Mm-hmm.
Where apparently you're supposed to save the Gallimimus instead of shooting them.
Is that our iconic level?
That we never made it far enough to realize we're not supposed to shoot them because something else would kill us.
Right.
But at some point, if we'd lived long enough, we would have failed the mission because we killed everyone we saw.
Will we really fail the mission if we kill them all?
Yeah, you get a game over if you kill more than, I think, 100 dinosaurs.
We've never gotten to that point. Well, that's kind of the backstory of this. You've got InGen, who was Dr. Hammond's group, and then you had Biosyn, which is the rival group.
I think that's who Dodson worked for.
Okay, and that would make sense.
Yeah, they're a recurring villain.
But
in the Jurassic Park universe.
Apparently, Hammond wanted to reopen Jurassic Park after the first incident. He sends a team, a well-militarized team. They get defeated by the dinosaurs. And then Biosyn is going to send people there. And then Hammond, wants Grant to go back in because he knows everything.
Which is funny because it's like, okay, these highly trained commandos failed. I'm going to send in a paleontologist. That was the 90s for you, man. Everyone was an elite military commando.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, Will Smith.
Yeah.
And Malcolm.
Yeah, that's true.
Malcolm. If you think about it, he was just a scientist and he was going to space to defeat the aliens.
That's true. But he had Will Smith with it. I guess the second character, because your first character is always Dr. Grant. Your second character is someone named Michael Wolfskin.
And he's a director of security or something?
Something like that. I guess he's the Will Smith. But you would think he would be the first character.
You'd think so, because, Will Smith kind of awesome.
Because honestly, does it have to be Grant? Your guy shooting a gun. It doesn't matter who it is.
Well, it doesn't matter, but for it all to kind of come full circle, I think it does have to be Grant to make the game work, to make people want to actually kind of play the game. Hey, there's a character that I already know.
Well, I didn't even know it was Grant until probably 10 years after I'd first played it.
Oh, really? I sit here and asked you, is it Grant? Because I don't even think he has the hat on.
It's blue shirt guy.
Yeah.
And the other one's red shirt guy.
Exactly.
That's all you need.
Well,
they're identical.
In the instruction booklet, it tells you don't kill the other dinosaurs except for the Tyrannosaurus Rex and the Velociraptors.
And that's why those things were so important. Because when you rented the game, you didn't get the instruction manual.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And apparently, they had valuable information you needed.
So one of the things that I keep referencing about being the iconic thing for Hammy and I anyway is the area in this level where there's two
the Gallimama level.
There's two trees that are kind of uprooted, but they're kind of pointing at each other, so you can kind of get on the trees as a ramp-esque, and you kind of get in the foreground of the trees. Well, what we would do is Hammy would get on one tree, and I'd get on the other tree, and we'd be sitting and shooting each other underneath the trees. I'm sorry, because we're on the ground.
Right.
Well, these just wave after wave of enemies just keep coming, just keep running.
Because before they get to us, they hit that ramp. They go up the ramp and then they fall in the area between the two trees.
And we're just shooting, and like I'm laid down shooting toward Hammy, and Hammy's standing up shooting towards me. And obviously, our bullets won't kill each other, thankfully, because we would have died a long time ago.
Oh yeah,
but it's just wave after wave, and you can just sit there and just hold the shoot button, and you just, I mean, if it was a points game, we would have so many points.
Because they just keep coming. They fall into just two lines of bullets and drop.
Yep. I mean, they're literally getting mowed down.
The only thing I've ever seen better than that was the Spawn game for SNES, where I think the first level you start out, you're on this rooftop, and there's another rooftop to your right that's just a little lower.
Right.
And guys are jumping to get to you, and they can't make the jump, so they're just falling to the
Oh, my God.
Because Jeremy and I used to laugh about it. It's probably some homeless guy at the bottom of the alley, like, what's going on?
Well, I remember we played, it was a wrestling game for PlayStation 2.
That was GameCube.
It was GameCube.
It was.
Was it Day of Reckoning?
No, it was the one before Day of Reckoning.
Okay.
It was like WrestleMania 18 or 19 or something like that.
Well, anyway, it might have been 18. Yeah, it had been 18 or not. Anyway, there was a part in there where Hammy and I were playing and the Undertaker would just kind of mount you and just punch you. Well, if you ever pressed a button, after 3 or 4 hits, he would unmount you and you'd start back wrestling. Well, Hammy and I just left the controller, and the Undertaker just sit there and hit and hit and hit, and we just died laughing. I said, "Hey, let's go outside for a minute and then come back and see if he's still pummeling." And sure enough, we walked outside, just goofed off for like 20 minutes, and come back in, and he's still playing. And we just died laughing. So I mean, there's some kind of glitch-worthy things that happen in some of these games that are pretty neat, but. This one right here kind of takes the cake. This is straight nostalgia for me because I remember when we first started playing this game, we did this, and then the other day when we were going through the game, we did it again. And like it doesn't help us because they just keep sending, the computer just keeps generating more and more enemies, so there's never like a kill limit or anything like that. We just eventually said, okay, if we're going to try to keep going, we just need to get going. But to this day, we still do that.
You could kill until you've killed more than the population of the earth. And you just keep going. Did you ever make a GIF of this?
No, I suck at making GIFs, so there's that.
Well, we'll eventually get one going.
Yeah, we need to send that out for this one
about.
Because it's too funny not for us to post. But
one of the things about this game that's really awesome is the music.
Yeah, when we were playing through this, it was the night after all the storms that had passed by here, so it was last week when we were all playing it. And then Alex had come over because power got knocked out. So he was here, and we decided, hey, we're going to play through this right quick. And the music starts up, and Alex is like bobbing his head and moving his body. He's like,
we all were.
Music, we were.
It got to the beat, and every one of us we got into it.
Yeah, and Alex is sitting there going, man, this music straight up out of the 90s.
Well, it's kind of like the Jurassic Park 1. I mean, it had great music.
It did have good music. It really did.
But this one, God, the music, the sound.
I just wonder if maybe they have certain ways that the music all come together for the different types of games, meaning, your platformers, your shooters, your action adventures. If they just kind of have it, because I don't think that music necessarily works in Jurassic Park 1's top down view, that action adventure.
I think it could.
You think so?
I think the Dark Forest track would.
Maybe. I just I thought they hit it out of the park with Jurassic Park 1 for SNES, and this right here just, I don't know, it kind of captured the moment because it is a running gun and you're constantly trying to move and get in front of everything. So maybe it would work.
Yeah, it was. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying like different beats or different music for
different situations,
different genres,
right?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's just. I don't think it's necessarily for the genre. It's just whoever's writing the music. Whoever did the music for Ocean really got it right.
Right. And what I mean by that is if you go walking, or running, trying to get in shape or whatever on a treadmill, you're probably going to listen to something, with a heavy beat, like a rap or a really heavy metal kind of thing to kind of get you going.
Well,
that feeling. You're not going to sit there and listen to bluegrass. Well, unless you're Homer Simpson.
Yeah,
they're still chasing us.
Chase music. No, I think it's more of a setting thing than
possibly,
because it's if you listen to music, it's a lot of almost a jungle feel.
Sure,
with the drums and the pipes and stuff. I think it's more setting than genre.
Okay, fair enough. I figured I'd just ask the question. I didn't know because, you think about it, all the platformers and stuff that we've played.
Well, kind of like, you get Mario, you get to like the desert level, and it's like that kind of Egyptian sounding music.
Right.
Or you get to the snow level, and it's like Christmassy sounding.
Okay. Or water. I don't know.
That was good music. But
you should probably edit that out.
No, it's staying in. The graphics look good on this game too.
Yeah, they do a good job with the graphics, even with the flat screen TVs and everything. I thought the graphics really do hold up, and it goes back to that, Super Nintendo probably being the best system.
Oh man, it's the 16-bit. It just for some reason it holds up so well. Look at you. You've got Donkey Kong Country too.
Right.
Up on your TV.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. How about that? I wonder why you've got that up there. But it still looks good.
It does still look good.
And I've said several times, I love what's called parallax.
Yeah.
The background. That's where the image in the background is moving at a slower rate than the foreground.
Right.
To make it look 3D.
Yep.
And Jurassic Part 2 had some really good backgrounds with that.
It did. I think you're right. I think that's kind of what made that 16-bit era, because it was the first kind of generation that did a lot of that.
Yeah, because you look at the old Mario games for NES, they didn't have any background.
No, they didn't. But when we were reviewing Super Mario Brothers 2, we did the Super Mario All-Stars, and it did. When they updated, they put that parallax background, and it made a big difference.
Yeah, that's why That's why I can't play a lot of NES games, because it's just it just looks like it was drawn.
Well, kind of was
a little bit, yeah. This game also, your gun could apparently shoot several different types of ammo.
And now that I think about that, that's where I was wanting to go earlier.
So your right bumper changes, I think, your lethal bullets. You got your machine gun, your shotgun. There's something else.
There's like a rocket launcher in it too, maybe. Grenades, maybe, or something like that.
But your left bumper changes your non-lethal guns, which is what you're supposed to use on the dinosaurs.
Yeah, well, I'm not pushing left button every time I see a dinosaur and a right button every time I see a human.
Yeah, exactly, because non-lethal do not work on the humans.
Right.
But those are like dart guns. I think one's a electric gun.
One's like a laser blaster. Is that the electric gun?
It's supposed to be like a...
Because one you can charge up, and the other one, and either you can A, charge it up, or B, you can shoot it, over and over in repetition.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be almost like a cattle prod taser type deal.
Who are you, Bill Goldberg?
I wish.
You didn't catch that reference. Never mind.
I didn't.
When he lost his first match in WCW, cattle prod with Scott Hall.
Okay.
I just heard that on a podcast the other day. It made me think of it. So,
but
cattle prod.
Well, these guys you're fighting aren't Bill Goldberg, because cattle prod does not work on them.
No, they do not at all. But they do work on the dinosaurs apparently. They
wouldn't know, because I just used the bullets that never ran out, the lethal bullets that never ran out.
Yeah.
And what was over that dodge? There's a dodge move where he just kind of
points up, and we couldn't get it to dodge. It's like he's kind of turning to the side, like, "Oh, you missed me," kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
I couldn't get it to work. Like,
no, a dinosaur would charge me. That dodge does not work at all.
It does not. It does not. And I never really thought about trying it with a bullet or anything, but it's just, it's like you're facing somebody,
so you matrix dodge the bullets.
Right. So you just kind of, point your gun up, and they call it a dodge. And I don't know. Maybe there's something later in the game that we've not experienced.
Is there a dodgeball level?
If you dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
I think maybe at some point we should have probably ordered an instruction booklet from eBay.
Probably. I don't know. I've been doing some looking for some other games that we've got coming up, and games that I would like to have in my collection anyway. older games that I don't have anymore that I did have at one point. Man, there's a ton of stuff. You can buy just the boxes. You can buy just the book. You can buy the box and the book. You can buy just the game. You can buy complete in box.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, holy crap, man. And you have to like really read the instructions because if you get into it, it's like what you're buying is just the box. Like you find a $5 game, what you think it might be a $5 game. And if you don't read the instructions, all of a sudden you got a $5 box that's got nothing in it but just the box.
Who's just got the box?
I don't know. You know, when we started cleaning out the retro review studio here, I had like my old my PlayStation box still right there, but I used to have my old Xbox 360 box, and y'all gave me crap for it because I still had it. And you're like, I always throw my crap away.
Yeah, I throw them away because cardboard.
It doesn't hold very well.
No, you have roaches.
Well, maybe I don't know. I don't have roaches, but. Anyway, it used to sit up there on the top of that closet right there all the time.
It
was out of the way, but it did take up space. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, the space is one thing. But no, like those old Super Nintendo boxes are straight up cardboard.
Yeah.
N64 boxes.
I think, and this is and sorry for any youngsters that are listening, this is where I found out that Santa Claus wasn't 100% real. Was whenever, for whatever reason... What? You son of a... we were up in the attic one day with my dad, and I guess he just didn't think about it. I was probably 9 at the time. You know, we had one of those that's like in the hallway, you pull the stairs down and you go up. Well, we went up, and he's like, hey, come here. And I turned around and looked at him, and I looked down, and I saw the Nintendo box. It's still up in the attic. And it's just a cardboard box, and I just looked at it, and it's like, you mean? And he goes, well, you're going to find out sometime.
Yeah, I never did believe in Santa Claus.
Like, I always believed in Santa Claus, but then I kind of went through this whole point where I was trying to find Santa Claus. So I'd like fall asleep or stay under the couch. Like, I'm going to find Santa Claus this year. But then I end up asleep. And then my parents come looking for me about 8 o'clock in the morning because I haven't gotten up yet. And I crawl out from underneath the couch and says, I was looking for Santa Claus.
We didn't have a chimney. So,
well, that was always we did growing up, but that was always the thing. Cause, like my parents ended up divorced at one point, and, Dad's other house never had a chimney. I was like, how the heck is Santa Claus going to get in here? There's no chimney. And Dad's like, we just come to the front door.
Yeah, yeah, he's got
problem solved.
No, that's something that's never addressed because it's like, oh yeah, he comes down the chimney. Well, what if you don't have a chimney?
Well, they kind of did in the Santa Claus movie. I don't know if you remember this or not. Like,
I've never seen it.
Oh my gosh, it was a staple in the Thompson household back in the day. But if there wasn't a chimney, like Tim Allen's character, the bag would kind of float or whatever, and he would go down the chimney. Well, if there wasn't a chimney, there was I don't want to say a smokestack because it wasn't really a smokestack either, but it was like a vent for the house. You just go through the vent in the house.
So it didn't have that either.
Okay, well, you might should get that checked.
What about kids who live in like trailers?
Come through the furnace? I don't know.
Front
door, man.
There's too many plot holes that have not been addressed.
Well, you're probably right, but still,
it's like Lost.
Santa Claus still finds a way to get there.
No, he doesn't because he's not real.
Well, that's true too. But
there's the Easter Bunny.
But this right here was always my thing that I had an issue with people that still pull the Santa Claus stuff. And if you do this, I'm sorry if you take offense, but Santa Claus shouldn't get the big gifts. Santa Claus shouldn't bring a 4-wheeler. Santa Claus shouldn't bring a $400 TV because not all kids are going to get that from Santa Claus. You kind of have to pick and choose who's from who or what's from who and that kind of thing. So,
by the way, how the heck do we get to Santa Claus and Christmas from Jurassic Park 2?
Big trail.
Let me tell you, that was a reindeer sized pig trail.
I like it. But yeah, I don't know if there's really a whole lot more we can say about this game, but I loved it. I love playing it with you and trying to beat it every time.
That's on my bucket list for us to beat that game.
Well, I know it wasn't.
And after a quarter of a century, I've yet to beat 11.
Well, I know it wasn't on your top 10 or 5 retro, 5 new games.
I didn't put it on there because I assumed we would beat it.
Well, and this is another thing too. I've got a Game Genie, and we even tried to cheat to beat the game, and the stupid Game Genie kept glitching out. And we never tried yours. You didn't bring it back, but we couldn't get it to work. Like it worked like one time.
It's not meant for us to play this game.
It's not meant for us to cheat to beat this game.
Well, that's the only way.
Well, speaking of cheats, I know of one, and that's what is it? Infinite Continues.
Oh yeah,
where you push the L and R buttons in a combination
a lot of times.
But
we use that, but that doesn't help us because we still die.
Yeah,
go back. It's like, you can just keep dying over and over.
Well, like I guess it would be good if you could beat 1 or 2 levels, but since we can't beat any levels, it doesn't help us any.
So I didn't know that there was a Jeep in this game.
Yeah, I was telling you about in one of the.
I've never seen the T-Rex in here.
Right, and I never have in real life, I guess, but I have seen it like on a YouTube playthrough that I was trying to watch, just trying to get some tips because man, this game is so hard. But basically, the guy would just kind of take his time, and that's like one thing we don't do.
No,
we just run and gun, buddy.
We go through, we shoot everything, let God sort them out. Yeah, I did watch a guy play through the Raptor level.
Yeah,
that's how I found out that there's a timed emergency level at the end of it.
Apparently, there's an emergency level at the end of every one.
And they're always the same. Like they go in order. The main levels you can play in any order, but the emergency levels are always in a certain order. And I'm watching the guy play, and he gets to. I'm like, how did he do that? Why can't I do that?
Exactly.
What's wrong with me?
What's wrong with me? And then I get to thinking, I'm just not patient.
Why do I have the reflexes of a 3-toed sloth?
Oh,
and yeah, and just no attention whatsoever.
Well, I think 10-year-old us would beat our butts for that. You know, we say that all the time about, when we could beat Donkey Kong Country on one life going all the way through it. Yeah. And now we're like, we'll get like to the second part or like Treetop Town or something and die.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not just video games, man. I don't even remember driving over here. I don't know.
Do you at least remember me texting me and saying, "Hey, are you ready to record?"
Well, I got evidence of that on my phone.
Well, that's true. You can go back and find that. But yeah,
I think it's just because I guess life,
finds a way.
It gets in the way, and if I had all the time in the world to sit down and play these games, like I did then yeah, probably I could probably still be as good.
Yeah, because this was life back in the day.
But I say that, but even young in my prime me couldn't beat a freaking level of this game. But I still, despite that, the difficulty I have with it, I still love this game.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's always going to be one of my personal favorites. Not one I consider the best, but one of my personal favorites.
Right. And that's, at the top of the show, I kind of said, it's kind of a dark horse, black sheep, if you will, because it's not. Everybody talks about great Super Nintendo games. This isn't in the top 10. This might not even be in the top 100 best games.
Well, it's got a really good rating on.
Oh, absolutely,
fan rating. It didn't get the great reviews. Got mixed reviews when it came out, but it's held up. People still enjoy it.
Sure.
And if you've never played it, I know I talked to Jeremy. Jeremy's never played it, which surprised me.
It surprised me because he's such a Jurassic Park nut.
Oh yeah, I mean he and I, man, we were
because y'all are all about the dinosaurs.
Yeah, dinosaurs. if we could have gone, we would have. But if it was real, but he never played it. Jeremy, you need to play this game.
Yeah, and you know what? I know Jeremy is in the Tuscaloosa area, Moundville.
Mm-hmm.
We got to find a way to get Jeremy on the podcast live and in color.
We've got to,
or at least live. Y'all
him and Jeff.
Yeah, it's got to happen.
Our two biggest contributors to the show in terms of questions and support.
Yeah, two.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too, where we would love to hear everybody's take on anything that we're talking about, and for even more Jurassic Park content, you can check out our review on our first Jurassic Park game and and the movie review. I know we've done a couple of those now, the movie reviews, and I don't think I think I might be the only one that's actually watched it and listened to it at the same time. But we even got some feedback from some of our friends where we got together every year and watched Christmas Vacation. He said it's just like sitting there watching with us. Eric, did you get that text message?
I did.
Oh, okay, I'm making sure. You had a befuddled look on your
I
face.
have that look on my face all the time.
Well, it happens.
Resting befuddled face.
I love it. All right. Well, great game, retro game night. We play it all the time.
It's the reason we have retro game night.
Pretty much.
When we first started when we first planned our first retro game night, this was the game I had in mind.
Yes.
It's like, Clint, we need to play this and maybe some other games.
maybe. Well, and this is kind of like one of those. This is one of the ones that we knew we were going to get to when we first started this podcast. We just didn't know where it would fit in because, we're trying to grow it, so we're doing some popular games, and we're trying to be unique and do some games that people don't necessarily review on other channels. And this right here was one of them because it's a great game for us. We loved it, but not everybody knew about it, so we knew we had to kind of put it on into the show a little bit. But I'm glad that we finally got to it. I really am, and I'm with you, buddy. This is absolutely a bucket list game to complete.
We will one day, maybe as senior citizens, but we will one day.
Let's make a pact to complete this before we're 40. We've only got 4 more years. Sorry.
Yeah, might want to push that back, but okay.
Love it. All right, we'll check out this tune and we'll be back just a little bit.
All right, Clint. So we've got a couple of questions from the aforementioned Jeremy.
one of 2 fans.
He actually had a question from him and both his brothers, but the middle brother, Skylar, never got his question in. So we've got 2 from Jeremy, 1 from Trent, who is the youngest.
Okay. Hey, Trent. I see Trent all the time at the high school when I go for basketball and wrestling. I went and watched a wrestling match this week. That's pretty neat. It really was.
Did the Fiend make an appearance?
The Fiend did not, but you know what?
Interested.
But you know what? It didn't turn red, and there was no steel cage that turned into a horrible match, so we're good.
All right, so Jeremy, knowing that we were going to talk about Jurassic Park 2, his questions were, what was your favorite dinosaur as a kid?
Have we not been asked that?
I think we've answered that on the Jurassic Park movie.
You know what? I'm going to be. I say we still do the question, and then we go back and listen and see if we still have the same answer. Because I bet they're probably different. If I had to guess,
I guarantee you mine's different.
Because we're old guys and we change our thoughts all the time.
Well, I can say that I don't have a single favorite dinosaur, but I always liked pterodactyls.
Yeah.
I liked T-Rexes.
Right.
And after Jurassic Park, I liked raptors. Even though
the last one you took right on, because I was going to say that because I didn't know what a raptor was before.
Oh, yeah. I never
Jurassic
heard
Park.
of it. And apparently the raptors in Jurassic Park, even though they're called velociraptors, are actually Utah raptors.
Okay.
Velociraptors are apparently a lot smaller. But you know what? I don't care. Velociraptor sounds cooler. Well,
I know when we were doing some of the research for the movie, they had actually said, they were planning on making the velociraptors this size, and they were getting a lot of pushback from the scientific community saying that, they're not this size, but just so happens they've basically found one that was that kind of size right before the movie.
Well, I mean, they're doing cloning. They can mess with it a little bit.
Sure. Well, that's what they did in Jurassic World.
That's why they have tiger stripes in Jurassic Park 2.
Was it 2? Well, I mean, you had the one where they cloned the T-Rex and the raptor, and then it had the
Jurassic
invisibility
World
stuff and the cloaking kind of stuff in Jurassic World.
Cloaking tech, like those blasted Klingons. No, the raptors in Jurassic Park 2 had like tiger stripes.
I do remember that.
I thought that was so awesome.
I always liked the T-Rex because he was always the king of the dinosaurs. And Stegosaurus doesn't get enough love sometimes, I think. Ostega. But one of my favorites, and I always like the pterodactyl because, I mean, heck, flying dinosaur, that's just awesome anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my favorite was always that Ankylosaurus or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
With the big ball for the tail that had the spikes on it. So it's like a mace. It's basically got a mace.
Like a turtle dinosaur.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like those too. I hated the part in Jurassic World one gets killed. That broke my heart.
Yeah, because you sit there and like, they shouldn't be that easy to kill, I think, because like you said, it's kind of like a turtle almost. Yeah. But well,
by gosh, that tail when they swung that, I mean, that's
can you imagine?
Devastating. That's like a wrecking ball.
Yeah. And then just because it didn't get a lot of love, and it was kind of the first cousin to the T-Rex was the Allosaurus. Probably just a little bit smaller, but I don't know. I was always kind of
drawn the horns, or is that the Carnosaur?
No, it looks exactly like a T-Rex. It's just smaller in scale, from what I remember, anyway.
Yeah, and then the Carnosaur had like the 2 little horns.
I think so.
It was in Jurassic Park 3.
Okay.
But he also asked, did you ever play the Jurassic Park game on Sega CD? He said it was insanely complicated for him.
I did not. I'd never had a Sega CD.
I didn't either.
Never played anything.
I'd never heard of it, but after seeing this question, I looked it up, and we talked about how Jurassic Park for Sega and Super Nintendo were 2 different genres, and then Jurassic Park 2 is a different genre. This game was a point and click, so that's genre number 4.
Wow, really?
Yeah. It looked interesting. It does look insanely complicated because you have 12 hours. I don't think they're 12 actual hours. I think they're 12 in-game hours.
Sure.
Which is shortened amount of time to beat the game. And it was basically get on the island and stop Biosyn.
Okay.
From doing something. There's even parts where you have to shoot guys. And I don't know if Sega CD had a mouse. I guess you're just using the controller.
I guess, at that point in time, everybody kind of thought that was going to go to point and click, using a mouse to play games. I mean, Mario Paint, Super Nintendo had a mouse, at least for Mario Paint anyway.
But you're moving a cursor around kind of like a mouse.
Sure. So, I mean, I guess so. But look, let's face it. Any game that's timed, if you're not falling into a hole and you're hearing a loud yell like Impossible Mission 2, then it's not worth it.
Well, I kind of do want to play that game. I don't know where to get my hands on it, except for buying a Sega CD.
Well, except for buying a Sega CD or maybe doing some sort of emulator. But, here on the Ham and Span Retro Review, we try to go away from that as much as possible.
I'd be willing to go to it.
Well, I've got the old school version 2, second edition Sega there, and I think the CD is one of those things that just surprise attaches to it.
They made I think they made a combo CD Genesis one time.
Maybe
I think I saw one. Somewhere.
I know the one that does that. It's like a platform on the bottom, and then there's a CD drive that goes to the right hand side of it,
and then 32X,
and then you can put the 32X on it, and then I think you could put like Sonic and Knuckles and a game on top of it. So
and a Game Genie.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, it's not even its final form. All right, so
and it's funny because you just got through playing some Jurassic Park. Gosh, you might listen to me. Dragon Ball Z.
Right. So yeah, that was Jeremy's question. Like I said, middle brother Skylar didn't get his in time, so maybe next time, Skylar. Trent though asked, would you pay to go to a real Jurassic Park if it was just herbivores? Trent, I would pay to go to a Jurassic Park if it had the T-Rex and Velociraptors. I wouldn't go on the first day. I would let them work all those kinks out.
Oh yeah. Get all the kinks out. Let the other people die first, and then we'll go.
I'll wake up and look in the news. Oh, everyone died. I think I'll pass.
So what if you
it ran smooth? I think I'll go.
So what if you had like the golden ticket? You could be the first guy. Would you go then?
And now if it's herbivores, yeah. But as it was in the movie, I mean,
not knowing that there's a hurricane and a storm coming and all this.
How can you not know a hurricane's coming? You got like a week advanced warning with those.
Well,
if it's a tornado, it's one thing.
Okay. Well, say a cyclone. How about that?
Well, same thing. It's a hurricane.
I thought a cyclone was more like a tornado.
It's just a hurricane that's in the Pacific.
Oh, okay.
It's created a wrinkle in your brain.
You did.
Oh man.
Maybe it's a typhoon I'm thinking about. Is a typhoon kind of like a tornado?
I don't know.
We'll just call it a water spout and be done with it.
Well, whatever. It was for our purposes as a hurricane. I don't. If I had the golden ticket, man, I don't. I mean, how could you not?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, you could. I mean,
you could be one of the first humans to see a dinosaur with your own eyes,
right?
And even if you die, even if you're that guy,
you're still
that
the
died,
first person.
if you're the guy who died on the toilet,
the lawyer
being eaten by a T-Rex, yes, it sucks you died, but holy crap, that tombstone is going to be epic. Ladies and gentlemen, here's how he died. Of all the things you can die from,
right?
To be the first person to get eaten by a T-Rex.
In several million years.
I mean, that's I mean, you're going to be remembered.
Hey, there's like a dozen people that's been to space or been on the moon. There's only one guy that has a modern tombstone that's been eaten by a T-Rex.
Now, I would want that on my. I would have that in my will before I went to Jurassic Park. If I get eaten by a dinosaur, I want you to tell everyone what kind of dinosaur it was.
Well, I mean, if you go to any kind of theme park or anything like that, the last thing on your mind is anything that could go wrong until you're hanging upside down and seatbelts come undone. But I mean, that's really the last thing on your mind. You're thinking about how cool it's going to be and how much fun you're going to have. So
I went to Six Flags one time, and it was it came up a shower, and we got on the Batman. We were the first ones on the Batman after it rained, and the rails were so slick they couldn't stop it, so we got to go twice. Yeah,
that could have ended badly.
It could have gone very badly, but I lived.
To this day, I have only ridden the Superman one time.
Yeah, I did too.
Partially for several different reasons. Partially because every time I've been there, it's always down.
Yeah.
Partially because it's always a long line. And then the other partially is because, I'm a rather hefty fellow. And what happens when that hydraulic cylinder that forces you up so you're kind of flying like Superman fails, and all of a sudden I'm hanging, my feet dangling, kind of like the Batman at that point. What am I supposed to do there? Just hope that rail is high enough where my foot
hope the real Superman swoops in and saves you. I think the Batman's better, personally.
I believe that as
the
well.
Mindbender.
I do.
Oh, that was good.
I
Did you ever ride the Viper?
I did. That's taken down now.
It is.
But yeah, they shoot it out, and go, and it's like 60, like instantly 60 miles an hour. And you go through that loop, and you just climb and climb and climb, and all of a sudden you go through it back around backwards. Yeah. You remember the Scream? Wow, we're on a tangent now.
Scream Machine.
The Scream Machine for the 25th anniversary where they ran it backwards.
I wish I'd done that.
Dude, that thing is so brutal. They finally got rid of the Georgia Cyclone and put another roller coaster in its place. Yeah. Dude, that's the only roller coaster
I've watched people get injured on that.
I have too. Well, that's what I was going to say. That's the only roller coaster at Six Flags over Georgia where I felt like I had been beaten with a baseball bat after I got off with it.
It's like you're back in Miss Gibson's math class.
Which, by the way, I don't know if I told you or not. She said I sent the episode, last week's episode, to my sister and told her, said, send it to Miss Gibson or Miss G. I don't know why we didn't call her Miss Gibson, but send it to Miss G and tell her to listen about an hour and 4 minutes in. Well, she sent my sister back a text and said I had no idea that this was going on. I'm just thankful nobody got hurt.
Yeah, Trent told me too.
I saw him at the wrestling match, and he said the exact same thing. She said, "You know Miss Gibson listens to that podcast?" I said, "Well, I kind of told her to." So, Miss Gibson, I'm thankful that no one got hurt as well.
The Ninja was fun.
The Ninja was fun. They've rebranded it and basically put a new coaster there, and it's like the Blue Hawk or something.
That's
probably it's probably the smoothest roller coaster they've got now since they've redid the cars and everything. So,
all right. So to answer your question, Trent, yes. I would. Did you ever answer?
Yeah, I'm with you. Omnivore, herbivore, carnivore. I'm there because that's just neat.
Yeah.
Can you just sidebar to that? Can you think of anything like that you wouldn't go do?
If it was a rattlesnake theme park, I would say
come on down to Rattlesnake Ranch.
Located in Opp, Alabama. No thanks.
Hashtag that's a real thing.
Yeah, a hard pass right there. Or like, come see this theme park made entirely of scorpions and tarantulas. Yeah,
sounds awesome.
I think
I'll pass.
Or if they're like, we've cloned giant spiders and we made them a theme park.
Oh,
you know what? Please tell me where that's at so I can not come within 2,000 miles of it.
You mean tell you where it's at? It's freaking Australia.
Yeah, and I don't know if we've got listeners in Australia or not.
Oh, we've had a couple of downloads there.
I'm terrified of going to Australia.
I am too. Like in school when we do reports and stuff, I always picked Australia. I thought it was awesome. I loved everything about it. But then like the older I get and I see all the crap that happens in Australia, and it's, apparently burning now.
No, they got that out.
Oh, did they?
No, everything's venomous.
Yeah.
And I've met some people from Australia. Great people. Everyone I've met from there has been awesome.
And I want to call all of them Crocodile Dundee. And they like it. Not really.
It's just everything seems venomous. All the bugs. It's like, oh, that fly bit you. You've got 15 minutes to live.
Yeah.
I pass.
Between the snakes and the spiders and the freaking... Every time you hear of a massive great white shark outbreak, it's in Australia.
Dingoes.
The desert. The kangaroos.
The kangaroos are dangerous.
They are.
They'll freaking eviscerate a man.
And according to The Simpsons, you can't just jump in their pouch and they jump away. It's whole...
Koalas are probably deadly. They just haven't told us about it.
Well, in The Simpsons, they were, too.
Yeah, that's true. It all goes back to The Simpsons.
It does. It does. I wonder if we could get by with the Simpsons podcast one day.
Nah, probably not.
Probably not.
But no.
Now that Disney owns them, probably not.
But yeah, there are a few theme parks I wouldn't go to like that.
Well, like you think
see
about
these giant centipedes the size of submarines. No.
Like, would you go to a theme park that basically, kind of like, I don't know, the aquarium there in Chattanooga or Atlanta or whatever, where you're like maybe in a sub and actually in the water with some of this stuff and go around and see
Absolutely not.
Because of underwater stuff?
I'm terrified of underwater stuff.
What if there was like a volcano excursion?
Volcano, not so much. Look, it's the underwater. I mean...
Underwater gets you.
I love the beach, but I'm terrified of the ocean.
Okay.
Because I've watched Jaws so many times. And I've seen that stupid Megalodon movie. Not the high class one with Jason Statham. I'm talking about the one where the guy drops his jet ski into its mouth. That still terrifies me as bad as it looks.
That's funny.
So no, I will never get on a submarine unless I'm at gunpoint.
Or
what
if you're going to the Lost Island because you had to go to the submarine?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because then there's a smoke monster there. I'd be like...
I'm more terrified of it than I am Australia.
Look, I'm like, with boats and submarines, I'm like B.A. Baracus from A-Team. You're going to have to knock me out. I do not want to get on them.
Fair enough. What if I'm driving it? Would you?
Oh, no. Heck no.
Heck no.
Because I can swim, but I'm not confident in my swimming ability.
Yeah.
Also, you know, if I know there's like miles of ocean under me and I can't see what's down there.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do
that. That freaks me out thinking about it.
Yeah,
I would deal with dinosaurs before I deal with ocean.
Yeah, I can't do if I get too deep. Like it's just a weird feeling because you don't know. Yeah, you got the heebie-jeebies now. While we're kind of talking about listeners in Australia and whatnot, I have noticed we've had a very big influx of listeners in Idaho. This month particularly.
I love potatoes.
I was going to say we're going to come up if that listener will come forward. We're going to come up with a potato-based nickname for him.
Be our first vegetable.
Potato crust pizza. I don't know. Potato crust
pizza. That's what you go to first.
I don't. Well, I don't know why. Haven't we always done pizza toppings or well? That's been sandwich meats.
Yeah, it's been sandwich meats.
It's called potato chips. Golden flake.
Is turkey a pizza topping?
It can be in Turkey Town. I don't know. I just went pizza toppings because we always talk about it when we get the listener in Hawaii. It's automatically pineapple because of Hawaiian pizza. And I don't know why that was a thing. That's always what we've always said.
I don't remember that conversation.
No, I don't remember a lot of conversations.
Probably happened. I don't know.
But yeah, we've had a big influx of listeners in Idaho. So if that one guy or peoples will step forward, we'll say hello on a more personal level. And I did want to.
Doesn't sound creepy at all.
And I did post it to Instagram a couple of weeks back, but we've had a few new listeners. And usually when a podcast gets new listeners, their older episodes will see an uptick. And we just went over our 100th download for episode 2, which I guess technically is episode 1.
Yeah.
Our 5 most influential games. So that's kind of a neat milestone. Now, I'd love for that to get to 1,000 or even 500
million. Think big.
Exactly. But we're small school right now. So if you want to help us grow by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Wink, wink. And I guess that's gonna kind of do it. So with that,
what we got next week?
Well, no. You and I kind of wanted to kind of touch on something that we had discussed.
Well, we want to announce next week first, or
we can. Well, everybody knows it. Anybody that follows our social media, it's on all our social
Halo
media.
Halo 2.
Yeah, it's Halo 2.
So if you want a very detailed, passionate podcast about Halo 2,
listen to Finish the Fight.
Exactly. For everything else,
you're gonna get our review. You're gonna get our memories of it and what we kind of talked about. And and those guys at Finish the Fight, they've been super great. They've been very open with the questions that we've asked about podcasting in general. And we plug them any chance that we get. They give us a shout out on Twitter here and there as well. So thanks guys for that, and anybody that's come over because of those guys. We appreciate y'all listening to us.
Give them a listen if you haven't.
Yeah, and if you haven't listened to them, go give them a listen, because they cover everything from the books to the games to just anything. And very detailed. Very
traveling
very
musical. Chief on Ice.
But they do when they do the games, man, they go in super depth about the development and the stories behind the games, and then the game itself, and then after the game, like how it sold and what the reputation of it was afterwards, and all that kind of stuff. So I know they've done 1, 2, 3 and ODST so far. I don't think they've done Reach. I think it's upcoming soon, though.
Okay.
Good. Like I said, if you want a good detailed podcast, go listen to those guys. Yeah. So with that, the other news that I wanted to kind of touch on, Hammy and I have been trying to get a YouTube channel going. We've got a couple of videos out there. But the last one we did was for WWF No Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of had a little bit of an issue with some timing just because of how we're doing it and whatnot. And really what all that boils down to is trying to get too much done at one time. Going back to what Hammy said about not having enough time to do everything we want to with these games. So with that, and in correlation with the guys over at Talk or Go Home, with Nick and Brandon, we've kind of decided that I think we're going to pull back a little bit and go to a bi-weekly podcast.
That twice a week.
Semi-weekly? Once a fortnight.
Bilateral. Yeah, once a fortnight.
I like that. There we go. We're going to be a once a fortnight podcast now.
Every other week.
So, we've already announced that we're going to do Halo 2 next week. So we're going to keep on that schedule. That will be episode number 40, but then 41 will be in 2 weeks after that. And what that's going to do is going to give us more time to do what we need to do for you guys. You're going to get a better quality of podcast with it. And it's something that's been discussed within that first 30 episodes that we did, because we ran into a whole handful of games that we didn't.
We've been talking about it for a while.
That, we hadn't played, but we wanted to review, because either we've been requested to review it or because it fit with the time of the year.
Right.
And because of that, we probably slacked. There's no probably. We slacked.
We did.
On trying to get a good quality review out because we're deadline.
Yeah.
So
and it's really a deadline we put on ourselves. You said in correlation with Talk or Go Home. Basically, what we're saying is we release 1 week, on one Sunday.
Sure.
And then the following week, was it Sunday or Monday they release?
I think theirs releases Monday.
On Monday will be a Talk or Go Home. So, you'll have a good steady flow of good podcasts to listen to.
Right. So, if you haven't checked those guys out, if you like what you're hearing here, absolutely go check out Nick and Brandon. You've heard Brandon here. You've heard Nick on a couple of podcasts now. Especially with our big correlation with them for Thanksgiving. I thought that was a fun episode as well.
That was. I had a blast.
So, go check those guys out. And like I said, this is for us, but this is more for you guys, so you get a better quality podcast.
Yeah, we'll have more time to devote to research, review, playing the game, editing.
But then also, what that's going to allow us to do is to do the YouTube side of it as well, which has been something I think a lot of people have been wanting to see anyway. See our playthroughs of it. And we've experimented with that as far as how we wanted to do it. Do we want to do like we did with Super Mario Brothers 2, where the first 20, 30 minutes is the actual podcast, and then we come back and we finish the podcast on the actual podcast? Do we want to do it, just a highlight here and there? Do we want to play like one game or one match? Like with NCAA football, Brandon and I played one game, which was a 60-minute video. Do you guys really want to see us play a 60-minute video? Do you want to see me and Hammy struggle to get the 4D off for 20 minutes in a wrestling match? Or do you want to see us play, struggle, beat the game that we're talking about?
Mayhaps we could do them in a series.
Maybe.
Jurassic Part 2, Part 1.
Sure. Wait, what?
Parts 1 through 700.
Exactly. With the first 699 being us dying on one level.
Yeah. But then, my gosh, episode 700. We finally beat a level.
Yeah, epic. 700 times. But again, like I said, this is for us, but it's also for you guys who listen to us, and we thank y'all for tuning in every week. And we thank you. I mean, that's just it. We're blessed to have the listeners that we do have, and hopefully this right here, when we produce a better quality of podcast, we'll be able to grow that number a little bit more as well. So next week, Halo 2. Yeah, looking forward to that one.
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of talking about maybe trying to make a mixer for the show for some of the newer games a little bit.
We're working on it. We live in an area with very garbage internet. We're still on copper here.
Yeah.
If we get fiber in, we would do a lot better. But
without us having to move,
we'll discuss that later as that goes from being a dream to a reality.
Right. And here's the thing too. We want to produce what you guys want to see. We want to review what you guys want to listen to. We want to play what you guys want to see us play. Whether it's a newer games, whether it's older games, we're always open to recommendations. We have shows that are scripted, I think all the way through 50. If we get through the 50. Obviously, we're going to need games on the backside of there, so this is kind of a calling for that as well. Go ahead and get those games out. But see, this is going to open up for some of the larger games that we haven't been able to review because we can't get them done in a week.
Yeah, especially like Symphony of the Night.
Right.
There was no way we could get through that in a week. I felt bad about that.
Yeah, and looking back at it and playing through it and hearing you talk about it and what all else we missed, and I sit here and labeled out the games that I want to complete in 2020. Well, for those games to be featured on the podcast, I wasn't going to be able to do it in a week. I would have to, we would have to play the game that we're going to review, and then in my spare time try to play through like some of these Zelda games that I keep talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get through Skyrim in a week. I probably wouldn't get through Skyrim in 2 weeks, to be honest with you. But
especially when you juggle in your schedule.
Sure, but like at least every 2 weeks would give me a chance at least. So again, this is for you guys. So hit us up, let us know what you think about it. Always go to hamandspam.com for all of our stuff. As everything is there, but obviously you can hit us up on all of our social medias as well. So with that, we will see you guys next week for Halo 2. Thanks.